You are looking live at the Breslin Center on the campus of Michigan State University. Fox Sports Detroit presents the boys Class A Championship Final. A first-time appearance in this final game, the Belleville Tigers. They'll take on the Trailblazers of Detroit Central. Good afternoon, everybody. Wall-to-wall hoops here on Fox Sports Detroit, and so far it has been an all-Metro Detroit day as Southgate Aquinas won the Class D crown, Detroit DePorres captured the Class C crown, and now one of these teams from Wayne County will walk off making it 3 for 3. Now in Greg Kelser's days, unfortunately, Henry Ford did not make it even to the final game or the Final Four, but I'm sure as a player you would have dearly loved to play in this kind of game.
Hey, one year we lost to Central in the regionals. But you know what? You get into the tournament and you say, hey, this is nice. Then you win a couple of games and all of a sudden the realization sets in, maybe we can win this thing. And I think that's where both these teams are. It has to be very special to understand the fact that a lot of people play in the state championships. Very few get to actually win it.
Central comes in at 22-4. Some would tell you on their side they should be undefeated. They're a physical team, and it all starts with the Michigan State football recruit, Antonio Gates.
Well, you know, you talk about Gates, a lot of coaches will tell you this guy knows how to play the game. Very big. He will surprise you with his quickness. He knows how to get inside, and he loves to draw contact, shoots a lot of free throws. And a lot of people feel that if he plays well, then Detroit Central becomes very, very tough to beat.
Belleville, on the other hand, the ultimate Cinderella story. This team at the end of the regular season was 7-13. All they have done, Greg, is reel off 7 straight wins, including yesterday's pulsating buzzer beater against Flint Northwestern, as John Edwards had to rally his team from the corner with a 3-ball right here. This team was down by 14 in the first half, but that shot broke a 62-all tie, sending the Tigers into the championship game. But he and C.J. Grantham give this ball club a lot of electricity, penetration, and the ability to hit the outside shot.
Both of them will have to have good games today. They will have Belleville control the tempo. And understand this, Belleville has taken advantage of the second season. You know, they say the tournament is a second opportunity. Here's a team that struggled all throughout the regular season, but they played tough opponents. I think that experience playing all those tough opponents and losing close games is helping them now when it counts the most.
And beware of the underdog, as Belleville's certainly very loose coming into this ball game. Let's go over to John Keating, who has a guest who knows all about springing the upset. John?
All right, Fred, thanks. With basketball insider Marshall Thomas, the head coach at Saginaw High School, Antonio Gates may be the key for Detroit Central, but you think Dante Darling may be the key?
Well, most certainly. What he'll do, he'll make it very, very difficult to double down on Antonio because it'll leave him open. And he's a fine player in his own right. And what will end up occurring, he has already showed what he can do. He's averaged a double-double throughout the whole year.
We're not going to sugarcoat it. I think it'll be a surprise if Belleville were to somehow manage a victory in this one, but in the coach's estimation, the guards of Belleville may be enough to pull off a shocker.
I agree with that one. Belleville, first, they believe that they can win it. They wholeheartedly believe that they can. Their inside guard play, or the outside guard play in reality, is going to make it difficult for Detroit Central to be able to guard them. If Detroit Central does anything like Northwestern did, trying to play an outside game, Belleville has the advantage.
We'll have more insights from the coach as we roll along, but now let's go back across to Fred McLeod.
All right, John, a couple of young coaches going at it, both with just 2 years experience. You'll not only meet them, but later in the game, you'll hear them in their huddles. Stay tuned. It's the boys Class A Championship finale from the Breslin Center when we return. Welcome back to the Breslin Center in East Lansing. As we take a look at tonight's starting lineups, we'll go to the house announcer, as this is game 3 of our 4-game wall-to-wall basketball schedule for you here on Fox Sports Detroit. Don't forget at 7:30, it'll be the Class B finale between River Rouge and Marshall.
For Belleville, at forward, 5'10" senior, 22, Kevin Edwards. For Detroit Central, at forward, 6'4" senior. Let's make that 6'2" senior, number 30, Jermaine Gambrell. At the other forward for the Tigers, 6'4" senior, 44, Spencer Lewis. For the Trailblazers, at forward, 6'4" senior, 44, Antonio Gates. At center for Belleville, 6'9" senior, 50, Ryan Schindler. For Detroit Central at center, 6'5" senior, 40, Dante Darling. At guard for the Tigers, 5'7" junior, number 3, John Edwards. For the Trailblazers at guard, 5'10" junior, number 4, Pierre Green. For Belleville at guard, 5'9" junior, C.J. Grantham. And for Detroit Central at guard, 6' junior, 22, Jimmy Twyman. Head coach of the Tigers, Ron Fisher. Head coach of the Trailblazers, Orande Taliaferro. Official for today's game, Johnny Robinson, Thomas Rittis.
Ron Fisher, who was not even a high school basketball player. His sport was football. On to becoming an assistant at Belleville, and then got the head coaching job a couple of years ago. And the Trailblazers, a little pregame ritual. Did you guys do this at Henry Ford, Greg?
Now, this is all stuff that was created in the 90s. We were kind of boring back in my day.
Orande Taliaferro in his second year as a head coach. It was sort of on a whim that he got the job. The principal at his middle school was going to Central and said, how would you like to become a high school basketball coach? He said, why not? Orande only graduated from Wayne State in '94. He's only 26 years of age. All right, the high school rule is a little bit different from the college, and of course a big difference from the NBA.
Well, the big thing, high school now gets a 20. In fact, they get a couple of them. And all players must stay out of the lane until the ball touches the rim. You notice in the NBA, guys start leaning in the minute the shot leaves the shooter's hand. And then late game field goals, clock does not stop. And no shot clock.
We saw a little bit of that in the D game, in which the ball was being held for a minute or plus. All right, here you see how Central got here, beating Dane Fife and Clarkson for the second time this season. Then they knocked off Finney in the semifinals. Finney also was a Cinderella type story. And Belleville has been the underdog in every game they played. C.J. Grantham, the football quarterback, starting the offense. They really have interchangeable point guards, though, in their backcourt. Nobody home on that pass. And a quick turnover.
Kevin Edwards throwing the ball out of bounds. Now, Belleville, we talked about controlling the tempo. They need to keep their turnovers down. If they can control the basketball, keep in mind with no shot clock, well, then they have a chance to stay in this game and perhaps win it in the end, which is their thoughts.
We saw Gates bringing up the floor. He'll do that a lot. Even though he's their strongest player. Three-point line. Gambrell misfires. Here come the Tigers. They want to run. That's why. The shot is missed. Here come the Trailblazers on the rebound.
Now Belleville, they'll try to push the ball up the floor. They're not going to walk it up. But if it's not there, then they have to be smart enough to pull it out and work their offense.
There's some contact inside as Schindler will pick up the foul. Ryan Schindler, whose brother was a walk-on at the U of M.
Belleville foul, 50.
Dante Darling posting up strong, getting the basketball right there on the drop-off and getting inside. And this is where Central can cause problems for Belleville. Central's a big, strong team, very tough inside. They know how to get fouled.
Darling at 80% free throw. In fact, this entire Central team at 76%.
That's incredible.
So they feel if they can get you to a close one, they're going to win, knocking down those shots from the stripe in crunch time.
I bet you there aren't 10 Division I college teams that shoot 76% from the free throw line as a team.
That's why they're 22-4. 1-0. Look at the quickness. Oh, my.
Oh, man, that's Earl Boykins, isn't it? He's jet quick, cat quick, made his move 20 feet from the basket, and still no one could get to the basket in time to cut him off.
Like Allen Iverson, didn't he?
On the crossover, yeah.
2-1 Belleville. Gates decided not to chance the pass. See Belleville in the zone.
So zone defense, but they try to keep pressure on the basketball. Notice the basketball always has a defender.
Really a matchup zone, would you say?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. You keep pressure on the ball, everyone else zones up. No shot clock, so Central can take all the time they want to get a high percentage shot.
Still in the first 2 minutes of the ball game. way inside. Gates with strength, had it blocked. Stayed with it, and there's a foul.
A few moments ago, it was the quickness right there on the move. C.J. Grantham, the crossover, gets all the way inside. No one able to come over and cut him off or try to take a charge, and he gets all the way to the basket. Now, that was the quickness displayed by Belleville. On the other end, the patience shown by Central. They really worked a lot of time off the clock to try to get the ball inside and exploit their strength. That's smart basketball.
Cullen Jenkins has to come in because Schindler picks up his second foul. A little bit of size as Schindler sits down, being 6'9". But they probably pick up some muscle in that exchange. 2-2. Make it 3. Now pressure applied.
Nice job by Pierre Green of Central, keeping the ball out of C.J. Grantham's hands. He's really face guarding him, not letting him get a touch.
Pass zipped inside. Missed it. Owen Jenkins wants that one back. Grantham knocks it down. 4-3. Excuse me, Kevin Edwards with the jumper. 4-3 Tigers.
Belleville's doing a good job on the glass, even though they're giving up size. They've got several offensive rebounds thus far in this game. And there's the quickness helping out on defense. You'll see them do that a lot because, as we said earlier, they give up a lot of size and strength on the blocks.
Gates was hounded, but it is still Central basketball. Jimmy Twyman with it, gives it up. That's Pierre Green. Good position, Gates. The uptake, no whistle. He thought sure he was fouled. So did the Central bench.
He got the contact. Can't get frustrated. It's early. He will get those calls.
They're kept alive. Here comes Twyman out of the pack. He'll push it. Edwards cuts him off. Twyman zips the pass out high. Green. Nowhere near. Tiger basketball. Belleville hanging tough early. You can see the quickness, why they pose problems.
You have to understand, this is not a 14-13 team. You don't win 5 straight games in the tournament and not learn something and not gain confidence. And you can see that confidence being clearly demonstrated by Edwards, who's shooting it quite well.
Kevin Edwards and John Edwards are cousins. And right now, Kevin has a couple of field goals. Belleville leading 6-3. You have to believe, Greg, the pressure's on Central to win this game.
Oh, no question. They're the favorite coming in, and they're supposed to be the better team, certainly by record. But you can throw those out now.
Ball hustled for Gates spinning. Double dribble. The Tiger pressure, especially in the half court, is of a ball hawking nature. And the orange and black behind the bench on their feet. Almost halfway through the first quarter. And Belleville with a surprising early 6-3 lead. It's a 20-second timeout.
Timeout, the next dead ball after this. So play hard as heck and we come back here and take a break, okay? We're gonna go 3 up because Kevin's been hot. So Butter give him a good one, Cullen give him a good one. CJ, look for him right here. He should be open right there and stick it, babe. All right, come on. John, rotate back. Rotate back. Go for it.
Well, Belleville figures even though they were 7-13, they'd played such a tough schedule. They lost twice to River Rouge, twice to a very good Romulus team, lost to Ypsilanti. So they were battle-tested before they got to the tournament, then just got on a roll. And you know how that happens, Greg. At the college level, too, you get the hot hand and you feel invincible.
Yeah, you can throw Detroit Finney and Detroit Cass Tech into that mix, too. A very tough schedule, maybe one of the toughest schedules in the state.
John Edwards off the bracket. Rebound was a little bit too tall for Jenkins. Central still 0 for 5. Pass thrown away. Here comes Jenkins. He'll bring it down the floor. All the way!
Got to stop the ball. Someone's got to make him pick it up. Smart job by Jenkins. No one got in front. Took it all the way to the basket. Belleville looks very comfortable out on the floor. Central perhaps a bit nervous.
8-3. Gates gave it up. Long bomb goes down. It's Jermaine Gambrell. It's a 3, so the first field goal for the Trailblazers comes outside the arc. It's 8-6.
Now, Coach Marshall Thomas, he really likes Gates' ability to find the open man. He says he's very good at passing the basketball, very willing to give it up, and you saw it on that last play as he found the open man.
Over and back. Kevin Edwards was hounded off the loose ball. And Central forces the turnover.
Detroit Central, 50, R.E. Smith.
Timeout on the floor. Comes with 3:02 to play in a very high-energy first quarter here in East Lansing. Belleville leading by 2. All right, our high school basketball flashback goes back to 1972. Remember this one? Class A. River Rouge in one of the greatest comebacks in state tournament history. Down 7 with 45 ticks left against Muskegon Heights. Well, the breaks went the way of the Panthers, capped by 2 free throws by Leighton Moulton with 2 seconds left. And Lofton Green wins his 12th and final state championship. The legendary Green, as Moulton knocked down the 2 freebies, and River Rouge celebrated a state championship. And who knows, in a couple of hours, they might have another one. This at the Class B level as they battle unbeaten Marshall. We'll have that one for you live at 7:30. And don't forget the DePorus replay against Mason County Central shortly after midnight here on Fox Sports Detroit.
You know, Fred, so far in this game, the contrasting styles are very evident. You've got Central, strength inside, trying to use its patience in the half court and get the ball inside, and Belleville using that extraordinary quickness to get the ball up and down the floor before Central has the time to set up defensively.
Ortez Welsh is down off the bench. He wears number 3. Little guy on the far side.
Belleville
High-five.
back in their zone. Now watch it closely. Sometimes they will go right out of the zone into a man-to-man in the same defensive sequence.
There's Welsh quickly coming off the bench and nailing the trigger. 9-8 Central takes the lead.
Okay, Welch has identified himself as a good outside shooter, so now you want to make sure you got pressure on him when he catches the ball over in the corner. Don't want to allow him to stand there freely.
Willie Pitchford is also in a reserve role for Belleville now. He wears number 42. We have a Central foul. And it goes against Reese Smith, his first foul. First on Central's the team. Ball finally chased down in the backcourt by John Edwards. Edwards. Too quick. Missed a shot. Rebound pulled down by Gates. He'll lead the break to Welch. Missed the shot. Here comes Edwards. Back the other way, Tigers. Fast-paced play. A whistle and a foul. And it goes against Reese Smith, who quickly picks up his second. As Jenkins knew what he wanted to do with that one, Greg.
Jenkins saw just a little bit of an angle. Tries to take advantage of it right there, gets the contact from Smith, and as you indicated, Smith picks up number 2. But I like the idea that Belleville is moving the ball up and down the floor. They're trying to get that quickness factor going in their advantage, and so far it's helping out.
John Edwards sits down for a breather.
At the line, Colin Jenkins.
C.J. Grantham returns for Belleville as Jenkins has a pair. This guy plays football.
A lot of football players in this tournament.
Not many baseball players on this Belleville team, but Grantham mentioned as a quarterback. And Jenkins makes it a 9-9 ball game. Inside 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Now it's man-to-man defense being employed by Belleville. They're changing up, trying to keep Central off balance.
Wyman from the top. A little too strong. Rebound to the Tigers. Kevin Harrison yanked it down. Those coaches going into their benches early. Harrison will fire. Rattled back in.
Yeah, they got real soft rims at the Breslin Center. Not unusual to get those kind of rolls, you know.
Softer than at the Jennison Fieldhouse?
Oh, no. Jennison Fieldhouse, in my mind, is the best arena there ever was.
You would say that. 12-9 Belleville. That's Gates. Zips the pass. Looks good. Pass first sometimes instead of shooting. Twyman ripped the rebound down. And a turnover.
Twyman dismayed because he's saying, hey, if anything, it should have been a jump ball. 2 players, 2 hands on the basketball, no call, but the moment Twyman puts it back on the floor, right there, he's probably saying, hey, jump ball, foul, something. He got nothing.
So the Tigers on the prowl here, leading by 3. Jenkins lost the ball. Here comes Central, they want to run. 3-on-3 to the hole and a strip by Jenkins. Dante Darling will step to the line. One of 2 left-handers in their starting lineup.
Belleville foul, 33, Cullen Jenkins. His first, 13 foul.
There's the quick hands actually just bobbling the basketball right there, and Darling able to pick it up, get it up the floor very quickly.
Coaches continue to quickly make substitutions. Spencer Lewis on the floor for the first time.
Good shot.
And Darling will try again. He's missed 2 of his first 3 at the line. Here come the Tigers. Ball lost. Inside. Gates.
44 Gates.
So a little too clever on the behind-the-back dribble. And Central pulls within 1.
Gates demonstrating his elevation ability there. Flat-footed, right under the basket. All 6'4", 235 pounds, gets up high and dunks it.
Near turnover it is. Welch stayed after. Lost by Edwards. Central can take the final shot of the quarter.
Welch has done a pretty good job since coming off the bench. He nailed the 3-pointer. He's come up with a steal.
Twyman has to hurry, looks at the clock, realizes it. A long 3, nowhere near. Central took a little bit too much time getting that offensive play in the motion. But a good first quarter. Certainly high energy paced. We got lots in store. 3 quarters to go in East Lansing, Belleville by 1. Well, the Red Wing road trip continues, or I should say back on home ice. They'll take on the Buffalo Sabres tomorrow night here on Fox Sports Detroit. The pregame at 6:30, followed by the drop of the puck at 7 with Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond.
I want you to take a look at C.J. Grantham right there with the basketball. Central's so worried about his penetration. He's going to feint to penetrate. Darling's going to step in here to try to stop the penetration or at least help out. And all the while, Harrison right there is going to step right in there on the kick out and get a wide open 3. There's the penetration. Look at Darling. A little bit late getting out on that jumper. And Harrison gets the roll in, out, and in again.
That's what that quickness, though, will do. And I'm sure you would agree, Greg, at the high school and the college level, if you have good shooters, particularly, and quickness from the guard spot, you're going to win a lot of basketball games.
Yeah, the quickness and the good shooting will help out when you're at a size disadvantage.
So Central starts the second quarter with the ball down 1.
Belleville goes with the zone defense.
Gates inside, puts it up and down.
Never mind what defense you're in, you get it inside the Gates, and he's able to make a move without somebody doubling down and getting the basketball out of his hands immediately. He's going to eventually start to score.
Grantham on the drive. Rebound fluff boards, Gates basketball. Antonio averaged 15 boards a game during the regular season. Cut off that time. Welch, his quickness there. Good dish inside to Twyman.
We said Welch has done a good job.
Back the other way, though. The Tigers get it back. How about that? John Edwards scoring.
Taking advantage of Central's slowness getting back down the floor. But Welch, number 3 for Central. Since coming into the game, he's knocked down a 3. He's got an assist and a steal.
Gates again on the post. Antonio has 8. That's why he's a 71% shooter from the floor. 71%.
Oh, man. Well, with shots like that and moves like that. But what Central's doing right now, they're spreading the floor, making it very tough for Belleville to double down on Gates, and he's making them pay inside.
That's against Grantham. Ball deflected out of bounds by Welch.
A moment ago, you saw the move by Gates, but look how wide the floor is spread. No one in a position to help out on Gates, and he made the defense suffer that time.
Grantham lead bounce feed from the corner. Misfires. Here comes Gates again, leading the pack to Twyman. Nice dish to Darling.
That's an excellent fast break. Started by Gates, pushed it up the floor to Twyman, who didn't put it on the floor, gave it right up to Darling, and Darling got the dunk. That's how a fast break is supposed to be run.
Now the Trailblazers gain some momentum back, forcing a Belleville timeout. Let's listen to Coach Rod Fisher.
Communicate, y'all can switch that. Don't get caught up in that. Hey, no letdowns. Keep going up. Push it. Right, push it. Let's go. Y'all gotta get defense. Y'all gotta get back.
Dante Darling likes what he sees now with a 5-point lead.
Here's the push. Gates up the floor to Twyman. He touches it momentarily, gets it over to Darling, and Darling able to slam it down pretty hard.
Central ripping off 10 of the last 12 points. Applying more pressure.
They're applying their pressure. They're forcing tough shots and a turnover right there by Belleville. And what's happening also for Central, they're starting to control their defensive glass,
which they did not do in the first quarter. Toss to Darling, plays it in with the lefty. Darling with 5.
They're using their size advantage to great advantage right now. They're wearing down Belleville, and this is just early second quarter. But you can see the difference that the height and the strength makes.
Biggest lead for either team. Long pop, got it. Edwards has 5, his first triple.
A very necessary basket, because if you're Belleville, you don't want to get down 14 like you did yesterday. You can't count on yourself to come back from that type of deficit every time.
Gates with it. Crossed over. Back to Gates. He was fouled. They're going to count the bucket.
Man, that's some serious continuation. I don't think they're going to count that.
Now they're going to take it away. Offensive foul now. In the NBA, had that bucket counted, it would have been a part of the continuation.
Darling being fronted in the post. The throw over the top. The defense by Belleville tried to rotate over, but it was a little bit too late. Now this is the play a moment ago where Gates gets inside position, but he pushes off and gets called for the foul.
Grantham all the way, threw it away, another turnover. How about Gates behind the back? 3-on-2, Central. Twyman fills the lane and scores. Jimmy Twyman has 4.
Twyman's doing a good job out there on the break, making good decisions.
Twyman tried to draw the charge. Belleville a little out of control right now, but still, Grantham manages to lay it in. The pace has picked up considerably here in the second quarter.
It certainly has. And that's good for Belleville. The pace is okay when it's quick, but they have got to make good decisions in transition.
Nearly an errant pass. Gates again.
I like Gates.
I do too. Very much in control.
Yep.
He's an all-state football player as a linebacker and a tight end coming here to state. Again, another turnover. Knocked away, I believe, by Darling. Here comes Welch. Wants the alley-oop. You can see it coming. Darling lays it in.
I'm sure Belleville saw it coming, but could do nothing about it. Darling way up top, caught it, put it down.
Edwards gave it up. Gates got a piece of the block. Then the ball followed in neatly by Willie Pitchford. 27-21.
I think Belleville does a better job when they're in the zone. They compact it into the paint area, keep the ball outside. Makes it tough for Central to get it inside to Gates or Darling. When they go man-to-man, that's when they really get hurt, like they are right now.
Gates in the post. A little too aggressive defensively, though. And the foul goes on Cullen Jenkins. That'll be his second. Dante Darling now makes some more substitutions, or at least he will at the next stoppage. 3 more Trailblazers will come in. As Mortez Welsh set the table for Darling and able to finish the break. Central's been able to beat Belleville down the floor here in the second quarter, so they lead now 27-21. A frenetic pace here in East Lansing. Inside 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Back at East Lansing, where we have a 6-point ball game. Detroit Central in the lead. The Detroit Pistons against the Cleveland Cavaliers next Wednesday as the Pistons trying to cling to playoff hopes. 7 o'clock with a pregame from the Palace. All right, let's head over to the Tiger Den and see what's up with John Keating.
All right, Fred, thanks. Yeah, popular item worn here in the Belleville section are T-shirts that say "Keep the Miracle Alive." Right now, the Belleville Miracle has them down 6 points. These shirts were printed up by one of the teachers, Dave McCarney, at Belleville High School. Some people feel that if Belleville is to win this game, it will be a miracle. I think Central will have something to say about that, guys.
There you see the T-shirts up there that will be printed for the championship winner. The presses are hot. Ryan Schindler back on the floor for the Tigers. They certainly missed his presence with the inside game Central's gone to in the second quarter. 11-2. Central leading that key stat, points off TOs. Darling forced it up. A rebound inside, fouled in. Somehow, how did Michael Oden get in there? Back down the other way, the Tigers. Edwards, no. Through the layup.
See, that's a lost possession. And that's what we say about making good decisions in the transition. Maybe you don't throw that long pass, and certainly if you catch it, maybe you don't take the tough contested shot. Belleville they'll afford to have these turnovers continue to mount.
Darling with a lefty again. Dante Darling has 9 points.
Another turnover, Belleville trying to throw long.
This is going to kill him. Gambrell. Rebound to the Tigers. But it's a 10-point Central lead. Edwards misfires. Rebound comes to the white shirts. Ball thrown away in the outlet though. Stolen by Pitchford. Splitting the defense. And Kevin Edwards has 6.
Belleville can score against Central. That's no problem. Where they're having concerns is handling the basketball and turning it over and losing the possessions. Their margin for error, we like to talk about that, is not as big as Central, so they've got to do a much better job of taking care of the ball.
Well, the foul is on Schindler. That's his 3rd, and he probably feels like kicking the basketball right now, which would come natural. He's a high school kicker on the football team. Once kicked a 57-yarder in practice. But right now he wants to kick himself, picking up that 3rd foul. Replacing him is Spencer Lewis, number 44. 2:11 to play till halftime.
Lewis goes 6'4". Schindler's listed at 6'9". I'm not so sure about that.
Ball stolen. Blindside by Edwards. Carried it. Give it back to Central. 9th turnover for the Tigers.
That's 3 lost possessions in the last minute and 20 seconds for Belleville. And that might be tough to overcome if it continues.
And even 2 minutes left in the second quarter. See Belleville almost twice as many miscues. That can't continue if they're going to win this ball game. Bounce feed intended for Gates. And it is Belleville basketball. Pierre Green tried to lead him a little too much. Edwards almost had his pocket pick. Here come the Trailblazers and a foul in the backcourt. And it's on John Edwards trying to get it back.
Guess what the main topic of discussion will be in Belleville's locker room at halftime?
Rod Fisher going to bend some ear about protecting the ball a little bit?
I would imagine so, because that has been their major downfall. And a lot of these errors have been unforced.
They're just trying to be too quick. Gates wanted to post the smaller man on the switch. Couldn't get it. Now he sets the wide base out high for the foul line. Gates misfires. Rebound by the other 4. C.J. Grantham.
Good job defensively, not allowing Gates to get it on the low block, but forcing him out to the high post to get the basketball.
Spencer Lewis passed up a shot. Pitchford a hook. Runs off. Rebound to Central. Ari Smith yanked it down. Inside a minute to go in the quarter.
Gates does a lot of ball handling. He can post up. He can come out on the wing.
Not bad for a guy who's 6'4", 235. Out high. Darling hits the shot. No bucket.
No basket. Timeout Central.
Central, a timeout.
That was an ill-advised timeout since the basket went in, huh?
So Arande Talaferro, who at age 26, one of the youngest
Tone, get it back.
coaches.
Let's run Kansas. You and Pierre down on that block, and y'all two work Kansas from the opposite side, all right? So you take it out, hit Tone, get it back, Jimmy, let's run Kansas.
1, 2, 3, defense.
Talaferro's done a super job with the team, but you notice the guy right behind him with the glasses on, Dot Wilson. He's a legend. He's been coaching around Central for the longest time. And I used to play Summer League ball with him.
Dot knows just a little bit about this game, doesn't
He's a good coach.
We saw our menu at halftime. John Keating will be a big part of that one. The Forsyth Awards, we'll check our stats and highlights, of course, and Greg will be drawing up some of the key plays of the first half.
Central called that timeout a moment ago because they wanted to make sure they got the last shot of this half. They're going to take at least that 8-point lead that they currently enjoy into the locker room.
Remember, they worked it a little bit too finely in the first quarter. Didn't get off a good shot. Gates leans and it's blocked. Again, drew some iron, and that will finish 2 quarters of basketball. Spencer Lewis, at least, with a fine defensive play for the Tigers to keep that deficit at 8 points. But the underdogs from Belleville at 14 and 13 coming in, led by 1 after 1, but find themselves down 31-23 at intermission. Let's head over to John Keating.
All right, Fred, thanks. With Arande Talaferro, coach, it looked like it was a matchup of your inside game against their outside game. You're up 8. How you feeling?
Yeah, well, that's basically the summary of our team's strength. They have good guards, and we have a tough inside game. But hopefully we can keep on pounding inside and get some foul shots at least out of it.
And you're helped by the fact that they're big guys in foul trouble.
Right, yeah, that's definitely helping us out because they came out rebounding strong on us, and we're starting to catch up and get into it. And we just want to make every shot they get difficult because those guys can definitely knock them down. We just want to get a hand up on them at every opportunity, though.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck the rest of the way. Let's go back to Fred McLeod.
All right, John, so Arande Talaferro halfway toward the first ever state championship for the Trailblazers of Detroit Central. But 16 minutes of basketball still to play. We'll be back at halftime of the boys' Class A title game. Back at halftime as the Central Trailblazers running up 20 points in the second quarter, holding the Belleville Tigers to just 11. Thus they lead it at halftime by 8. Fred McLeod, Greg Kelser with you. And what can the Tigers do differently aside from holding on to the basketball to negate some of the inside power for Central?
Well, the thing that they're doing when they're in the man-to-man defense, I think they're playing much better. They're able to keep the ball out of the inside and force the outside game, which has not really hurt them. So I look for them to play a little bit more man-to-man. But yeah, they really got to take better care of the basketball.
All right, for more assessment of the first half, let's head back over to John.
All right, Fred, thanks. Let's get the expert's opinion on what happened in the first half, joined by Marshall Thomas, the head coach of Saginaw High School. Why is Central up by 8 points?
Detroit Central's playing a very, very smart brand of ball. They're using their inside strength, spreading the floor, and it's very difficult for Belleville to cover them both on the outside and on the inside. Now, in Belleville's behalf, in order for them to come back, they're going to have to make a decision. They're going to either have to give up the outside and stop the inside or vice versa. And I think the advantage would be for them to not allow them to get the ball on the inside.
We'll find out if Rod Fisher is listening to your comments. Let's go back to Fred McLeod.
All right, John, we'll be back with more at halftime as Lofton Green has his day in the sun. We'll have a little feature on the great high school coach when we come back.
Welcome back to the Breslin Center in East Lansing. I'm John Keating. Detroit Central on top of Belleville, 31-23 at halftime of the Class A final. You know, there is no higher recognition in the arena of state high school athletics here in the state of Michigan than the Forsyth Award. And the 2 recipients this year include a gentleman who is no stranger to this day, to Championship Saturday, Lofton Green is the state's all-time winningest basketball coach. The world was a vastly different place, still recovering from World War II when a young man named Lofton Green was hired to be the basketball coach at River Rouge High. And it almost became unfair. The state finals were almost the exclusive province of the Panthers. 17 times they played in the championship game under Green, and they won 12 of those, including 5 straight in the early 60s. Ah, those were the days.
It was a splendid thing. I had numerous little guys come up to me, you know, in grade school. Mr. Green, I'm going to play for you someday. And that gives you, you know, a great deal of satisfaction.
In very uncertain times, River Rouge was a certainty. Kids were changing dramatically. Panther basketball was not.
No doubt we had to be up almost every game because you never knew what they were going to throw at you. You had to be prepared, and it was a challenge every game because, as you said, most every school wanted to knock us off. So, but that made us better.
In a legendary career, Lofton Green saved the best for last. His final title with Rouge in 1972 came in the most dramatic finals game ever.
The last time we won against Muskegon Heights, we were 7 down with 40-some seconds to go, and we won in regulation time. That's hard to beat.
Coach Green already knew that he'd been at River Rouge a long time, and then there was the day when it all hit home.
Well, it got to the point where I had kids that I had their mothers and dads. And I think that combination is pretty hard to beat. You have the goodwill on the part of the parents to help their boy, and any kind of disciplinary measures I might have to take, they would back me. So I think that played a big part in whatever success we had.
The congratulatory phone calls are still coming into Joe Today's office.
Well, thank you. You've had a few of those yourself along the way.
Joe Today didn't look that dramatically different 30 years ago than he looks like, well, that's right, today. He certainly doesn't look like the 58 years old that he'll turn in a few months. Amidst the glitz and drama that high school sports is able to offer are countless conversations like this one.
Yeah, I don't have you down for JV tennis.
So, you want to be an athletic director, eh? Today once had thoughts of climbing the coaching ranks, an assistant's job at a university perhaps, but realized what he's doing here, touching the lives of kids here at Garber in this small community near Bay City, was his true calling. He knows that he's made a difference.
You know, they've done a lot of studies, and they have found that people involved in extracurriculars, and I'm not just talking athletics, but extracurriculars, generally are more successful in life. They have better grades, they wind up with better jobs, making more money, and so forth. So I think if a person does not get involved in extracurricular activities, I think they're really missing out on something. I think that as they look back on their high school years, or if they play college ball in their college years, the people that have had the most impression on them are often their coaches. And a lot of times they model their life after a coach.
Joe Today has been honored many times for his service to kids, but now receives the ultimate recognition, to his shucks amazement.
I got chills. It was really, I just couldn't believe it. I was home by myself and I wanted to tell somebody, you know. It was just, I really got a thrill out of that.
Over the years, the kids were the heroes. Now we realize fully that those that teach our kids are heroes. Lofton Green and Joe Today should be very proud, as are we, of them.
My philosophy is never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. You can always be better.
We know where Lofton Green's heart will be in the Class B final still to come tonight as his River Rouge team takes on Marshall, but still to come a second half of the Class A final between Detroit Central and Belleville. We'll get you back to the Breslin Center when we come back here on Fox Sports Detroit in a moment.
We're on the campus of Michigan State. Detroit Central 1 half away from its first ever title. Last time the Trailblazers were even this far in the state tournament, long before black and white film. How about before the radio days? 1918.
Wow.
But 1998 could be their year to win it all. We'll see if they can get the job done. The Tigers still have to be heard from, that's for sure. As the third quarter moments away, we'll look at the stats when we return. 31-23, our halftime score. The Trailblazers of Detroit Central putting on a lot of pressure at both ends of the floor in the second quarter to get themselves the 8-point lead. 52%, Greg, not what they are normally per game, even below their norm, but they'll take that.
52 looks really good for Detroit Central right now compared to 44 by Belleville, but Belleville turning the ball over at an astounding rate. They've got to do a much better job than that. That equates to 20 turnovers in the game. We said they can't possibly win if they continue to turn it over. Here's a nice figure right there, 12 assists. So obviously Central doing a good job of moving the basketball, which has helped them to get the high percentage shots.
Well, you saw our halftime feature, Lofton Green, Joe Tuide getting their Forsyth Awards here at halftime in front of the house at the Breslin Center. And deservedly so. Part of the throng here. One more game to follow. You'll see it live here on Fox Sports Detroit, the Class B championship game. Lofton Green's old school tangling with undefeated Marshall.
You know, Mike Garland, who's an assistant coach here at Michigan State, down in San Antonio right now for the Final Four. He was a coach, a head coach at Belleville a couple of years ago, so he was very interested in finding out the results of last night's semifinal, so I know he's very happy to know that Belleville made it here. Now hoping that they can get it going in the second half and maybe pull a victory out.
And his assistant coach during that 12-year run, Rod Fisher, who is now the head coach for the Tigers. Delana Edwards spins out. Rebound, a tough one yanked out of there by Gates.
Well, as Aranda Telefaro said before they went into halftime locker room, Central is now starting to assert itself on the glass. They're taking care of the defensive glass, doing a nice job on the offensive glass, so it is becoming very important for Belleville to take high percentage shots because it may be the only one they get, Fred.
That was too easy. Dante Darling had 8 points in the second quarter. He now has 11 for the game, and Central's lead is back to 10.
Doesn't help anything for Belleville that Gates is a second half player either.
Belleville on the weed, pass nearly stolen. Edwards will try a track. Rebound to the black shirts. Another miss, John Edwards this time. Ball kept alive, pair of 44s battling, and it'll be Central basketball. Belleville in the semifinal game. Rod Fisher was even surprised to hear that his team had shot 33s. He said, we did? So far tonight in the game, just 8 in the first half. And now 9 overall. A little more than a minute into the second half.
What a nice safety valve.
When you got a guy that big who can handle the ball, yeah. What a luxury.
And he knows how to come to the basketball, too. Really helps you get a passing lane.
Gambrell had it knocked away, and Edwards on the quick hand. Good job by Kevin there. So Belleville finally forces a turnover. Just the 7th, though, for Central.
You remember in the first half when Belleville was having some offensive success, it was with this guy right here, C.J. Grantham, getting penetration. He needs to try to get into the lane a little more. We haven't seen him get into that paint area in quite some while.
He pulls up this time. Rebound comes out to Twyman. The Blazers running. Gates on a turnaround. The rebound weak side, Darling. Dante Darling with 13. He averages 24 points a game. And like Gates, does a lot of his damage inside.
Well, Central doesn't mind putting Gates out on the perimeter because they've still got Darling underneath who can do a lot of damage. He just demonstrated that.
12-point lead. Central kind of trying to come up with another turnover. And we'll have a jump ball. It's Central's possession. And a timeout, Belleville.
It's a good timeout. They need to talk about this because this game can quickly slip away if they don't correct themselves now.
Let's listen in to Rod Fisher.
I know you're tired, but you got to dig deep. You got to dig deep, man. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Rod trying to fire him up any way he can.
Yeah, Carolina.
Rondé Talafero, age 26. In case you're wondering if he would be the youngest ever state championship coach, the answer is no. Twice in Michigan high school annals, college players have coached teams to championships. Most recently, 1940. Gates inside, a foul before the shot. And it goes against Spencer Lewis.
There's nobody on Belleville's roster that can contend with Gates. He's 235 active pounds in there, always looking for the basketball.
Cullen Jenkins returns. Let me ask you this, can Gates play Big Ten basketball? He wants to. You know he's going to play Big Ten football.
I think he'll get a call or two from Tom Izzo. His understanding of the game is what impresses me.
Gambrell missed a three try. Weak side, Darling was at a tremendous ball game. And Dante will shoot a pair.
He wouldn't be the first football player that's played basketball for the Spartans. In fact, they have a football player on their roster right now in Lorenzo Guess, quarterback. And you know, some 10 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago, Andre Rison played for the Spartans.
It's pretty tough to do, though. Darling will try again. Dante hopes to play Division I basketball. And he splits the pair. 36-23. Central applying some pressure. Pitchford gets it up the floor, though, to Cullen. That shot is bricked. Whistle on the shot. And I believe Gates may have pushed to get it. Foul on Antonio. 5:24 to play in the third quarter. Central with its biggest lead of 13.
Belleville needs a basket just to get going in this half.
John Edwards gets it. It's a three. Keep in mind, this team was down 14 on Friday, or yesterday, against Flint Northwestern. Came back to win it. Gates pulls up. He rims out on it. Pitchford pulls it down for the Tigers. Looking to get a run. They turn it over momentarily. Ball belongs to the Tigers.
Well, this was the first basket of the half for Belleville, and John Edwards puts it down. He's the hero of yesterday's game. But they just need to settle down. There's still plenty of time, but they've got to gain some continuity on the offensive end, especially in the half-court set.
10-point game. Ball nearly thrown away. In fact, it is. Just too careless on some of the passes, really. And C.J. Grantham, being a football quarterback, he should know about those interceptions.
And Central's such a tough team. I mean, they're just one spurt away from putting this completely out of reach.
Twyman's quickness resulting in the foul by Grantham. First foul on C.J. 12-7 now. Belleville with just too many mistakes. Gates with a power move, but he was fouled, believe it or not. A blocking foul. As Cullen Jenkins was not quite set.
Yeah, Jenkins coming over to try to provide help side defense. And he took a lot of punishment right there from Gates. Gates is a big, strong guy. Watch when he catches this basketball right into the chest. Boom! And Cullen goes down quickly.
Third foul on Jenkins. He grabs the rebound. 10-point game. Belleville trying to hang here. Despite 38% shooting. Still Tiger ball. 4:05 left in the third.
If you're going to take advantage of Grantham's quickness, you're going to need to spread your floor just a little bit. Give him some room to beat his man off the dribble and get into the paint area where you hope he can either hit the nice pull-up or maybe drop it off when the defense collapses. But he's got to have freedom to use that quickness that he has. Oh, over and back. Oh, man.
Costly mistake. And you know those guys know better than that. But Kevin Edwards pointing to himself, saying that's my fault. Pierre Green with the basketball for Central. Inside 4 minutes left in the third. Bounce feed to Darling. Or to Gates, rather. Up to Darling. Rims it out. Antonio with a muscle rebound, but he fouled to get it. Gates picks up his third foul.
And surprisingly, Jenkins gets up talking a little smack to Gates, and I think that's very ill-advised.
Unless you want a linebacker hanging around your throat. And I don't think so. All right, Belleville trying to get some sort of a run together against the Trailblazers. They're in a 10-point hole in East Lansing. Nothing like baseball opening day, and this time for the Tigers it begins on the road in St. Petersburg as they'll tangle with the expansion Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Note the early starting time, 4:30 with John Keating in the pregame, and then join Josh Lewin, Kirk Gibson, and Ernie Harwell with the first pitch of the 1998 season at 5 o'clock. Like our little mechanical camera there, Gregory?
Love it. Very nice. And as you can see, Detroit Central cashing in on the miscues by Belleville.
And that right now is literally the difference in the ball game. Those 10 points right on the scoreboard at 36-26. Grantham up the floor. Just surprised Belleville is not shooting more threes. Off the foot of Kevin Edwards, turnover number 13.
What is happening right now, Central, they're somewhat dormant themselves. But if they were to get a burst going, Belleville will be in a lot of trouble. Belleville has only lost this third quarter by 2 points, even though they've turned the ball over quite a few times. They have more turnovers than points in this quarter.
Pass inside for Darling, but he was fouled on the pass. Kevin Harrison got him.
24, Kevin Harrison, his first 15.
Darling and Gates just such a formidable 1-2 punch physically. That's just tough for Belleville to stay with it. Another one. Surprised Belleville isn't trying to double team a little bit more?
Well, that's something they're going to need to do because you certainly don't want Gates to really get it going in the post and start getting your big people in further foul trouble. And you know he's fully capable.
And the problem now, it's a 16 foul for Belleville, so Central getting ready to get into the bonus. Told you earlier, they're a very good free throw shooting team.
You know, I also like the job that Twyman with the basketball right now has done. He came off the bench in this game, but he has done quite well.
Very much under control. Oh, there, as soon as we say it, he turns it over. Tried to get it back. A scrum ensues. And it will be Belleville possession. They get the arrow. Inside 3 minutes to go in the third. That's Grantham. Corner jumper. A little bit too strong. Rebound pulled out of there by Smith. Surprised it's been a low-scoring affair, aren't you?
Well, the problem for Belleville has been they just haven't had many quality attempts, and that's when they don't turn the basketball over.
Near turnover. And it is as it's fought for. It'll be a loose ball foul on Reese Smith.
On the other hand, you've got Central with their two dominant players, although Gates is out of the game right now, but Darling's on the floor. Their two dominant inside players are not getting the ball inside, so they're really not taking advantage of the lull offensively that Belleville is suffering right now.
Third foul on Reese Smith. Just 5-3 in this quarter. Central in the lead. We've almost played 6 minutes of this quarter. A whistle, a blocking foul on the drive by Harrison.
You know, you're going to have both teams looking at this third quarter saying, hey, what if? Central scores 5. Belleville would expect to probably win the quarter by 10 points. On the other hand, you got Belleville scoring just 3 points thus far. Central should be feeling like, hey, we should be cruising to a victory now, but not the case. One team is going to eventually explode.
Pardon me, Greg. Ray Smith picks up his 4th foul, so he goes to the bench. Back live, missed shot by Belleville. Follow up, Edwards. Sky. That breaks the dry spell for both teams. 36-28. Kevin Edwards now with 8 points.
And it gets Belleville back into a single-digit deficit situation. And mentally, that's easier to deal with.
Just the second field goal in this quarter for Belleville. Twyman. What about the jumper? Slides inside. Oh, he threw it up and down.
Twyman's prayer was answered.
6 for Johnny Twyman. Jack Twyman couldn't have done it any better. 38-28. Quick shot by Harrison. Rebound yanked out of there by Twyman.
Harrison, on his shot, he was following the shot before he ever released it. I mean, he had no confidence in the jump shot. Threw it up there and tried to go back and get an offensive rebound.
Gambrell, a 3. A long rebound to Belleville. 2-on-1. Here comes Edwards for the layup. Gambrell wisely did not foul him. Edwards has 10, 38-30.
Both teams have scored 7 points in this third quarter. That's winding down quickly.
Twyman is trapped. Finds Welch. Takes it inside. Darling was expecting a shot. And Welch, frankly, should have taken it.
Watch the contortionist that Twyman becomes as he's knifed between 2 defenders right there. And at this point, just throws it up softly off the glass. And I told you about the soft rims.
Final half minute to go in the third. This would be a big possession for Belleville. They get it to 5 or 6. They feel like they're right back in this baby. Grantham gave it up.
Shouldn't shoot it too early. Make sure you get the last shot of the quarter. And do not turn it over. That has to be Belleville's thinking.
Edwards almost walked. 9 on shot clock. Bad pass. Darling, can he catch up to it? Yes, he does to save the possession. Puts it down and a foul.
How about that?
My.
You know what? That may be the game decider. Why? Because Belleville had a chance down 7, or excuse me, down 8, had the basketball, should have trailed by no more than 8. But here, Darling on the anticipation right there, hawks it down, and then look at the contact, look at the strength and the concentration to get it off the glass, get the 3-point opportunity, and now Central will definitely have a double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter.
Well, you can see why both U of D Mercy, Eastern Michigan, recruiting this guy, along with Ohio schools Akron and Xavier. He's very active. Missed a free throw. 40-30. And that will finish the third quarter.
It was a 4-point swing. Could have been a 6-point deficit. Belleville now faced with a 10-point uphill battle.
So Rondé Talafero in just his second year at the helm. 8 minutes away from a Class A championship, but it's not over yet. I want to remind you to be sure to catch the 1998 Tigers season preview special Monday at 7 p.m. here on Fox Sports Detroit. We'll take an hour-long look at the 98 Tigers with player interviews, plus in-depth analysis of the upcoming year. Hosted by John Keating with Kirk Gibson and Josh Lowen. Catch the 98 Tigers season preview Monday at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Detroit. Well, a pitcher's duel of sorts in the third quarter. 9-7 Central adding up to a 40-30 lead. In fact, Darling had 7 of those 9 points for the Trailblazers. And he leads all scorers right now with 16 points. Central starts the 4th quarter with a basketball. Twyman gives it up for dunking Darling.
I tell you, that Twyman's been pretty good. He's settled the team down, and he's handled the ball very well. Only has 1, maybe 2 turnovers in this game.
7:45 left in the 4th, and Central by 12. Edwards with a high dribble, almost turned it over again. Kevin had 4 turnovers in the first half. Foul on the post, and it goes against Gates. That'll be his 4th foul, so that's a concern.
You know, Twyman has that quickness. Watch him turn the corner right there, draw the defense, kick it out right there to Gates, who puts it down with authority.
Belleville missing another shot inside, 42-30. Central now, you would imagine, will be a little bit more deliberate offensively.
Yeah, the count was on. Official was right there, 5 seconds.
Now Grantham with his ball hawking, forcing Twyman to make the mistake. But Jimmy has played very well, as you mentioned. So you can't fault him on that one. 7:11 left in the 4th. Jenkins trying to get off a shot. He's short though. It's a rebound for Smith.
Yeah, it's going to be tough posting up Central. You got to beat them with the quickness. You got to beat them with the penetration, and Belleville's getting none of that.
Down deep, Darling. Just abusing him right now. He has 20 points. Well, the team jokester will be really yucking it up on the way home if this continues. Long bomb. Grantham spins out. Down the floor, Central. And it belongs to the Black Shirts.
Ari Smith frustrated with himself. Yes, he should have caught that. Actually was trying to dunk it or lay it up before he caught the basketball and eventually made the turnover.
Grantham tried to catch Central napping. Missed the shot. Grantham now 2 for 6 shooting the ball. The Edwards boys are 8 for 17 combined, so the outside shooting just has not been there. Turnover Central though. 4-on-1 the other way. And oh my goodness, they throw it away. Off the fingertips of C.J. Grantham.
You know, they have been a bit ahead of themselves all afternoon. It started early and it's continued, and it's hurting them each and every time because they're giving up valuable offensive possessions without nary a quality shot attempt. There's a layup coming, but you can't get a handle on it, and it ends up going out of bounds and turnover again.
It's almost akin to an open breakaway in hockey into an empty net. Grantham would have had an easy layup. Welch on the dribble drive. Gave it up. Gambrell. A long rebound. We have a foul down low. And it goes on Darling on the hook. But it's just the first on Dante.
Central foul, 40. Dante Darling is first. 16 foul.
14-point gap right now. Belleville with just 7 points in the second half. This is a team that averages 65 points a game. Edwards in a strip. Gambrell in a great play, and then Edwards fouled to try to get it back. Quick hand there. Don't forget, immediately following this one, actually it's 7:30 to be exact, Marshall and River Rouge as the Panthers go for another state championship with Byron Darby and company, and then the replay of the Class C game, Mason County and DePorres.
Well, Belleville was down 14 yesterday, came back to win. They're down 14 now. Make it 15. If they're going to have any designs on coming back and being a threat at the end of this game, Fred, they had better start right now. they can ill afford any more turnovers or bad decisions.
Yeah, they have to turn this into a scramble mode basketball game. 45-30. You got to figure they're going to start shooting the threes. Been saying that all game. But
the biggest hurdle so far in this game is just getting a shot off, period.
Grantham threw that fastball too hard. And Rod Fisher's going to talk it over. See if he can somehow calm down his team. These guys certainly knew that Central was one of the quickest teams they have faced all season. And I think they've almost psyched themselves out a little bit here.
And, you know, that's a bit surprising because at this point, you know, you've already played some tough games and you've proved to yourself that you can win, so you just can't be satisfied with showing up here. You know, your goal has to be winning.
Less than 5.5 minutes to play. The Trailblazers with a pretty significant grasp on things here. Well, the best way to keep tabs with the Detroit Tigers, not the Belleville Tigers. Tigers Weekly, premiering April 11th here on Fox Sports Detroit. We'll go behind the scenes of the Tigers with up to the date information on the ball club and who's hot, who's not, every Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning starting April 11th. Well, we can see the disappointment already on the Belleville side. Born out of frustration here. Central in great shape with their main man, Antonio Gates, on the bench with 4 fouls, but it really doesn't matter right now.
Darling's on the floor. They're like a carbon copy, except that Darling doesn't come out and handle the ball as much. He's just as tough inside.
Strong inside presence. And Belleville just physically can't match up on this particular day.
And with no shot clock, no need to hurry if you're Central.
Darling leads everybody with 20 points. Welch in a dribbling exhibition.
They got to get a shot clock in high school basketball.
Wouldn't mind seeing it in the least. Smith with a head fake, and he is fouled.
It took almost a minute off the clock.
And the players wouldn't mind it. I think they'd enjoy the quickened pace. So Maurice Smith will shoot 2. With 4:22 left. Belleville's gone almost 5 minutes now without a single point. Pitchford returns for the Tigers.
And to this point, Fred, they've only scored 7 points in the half.
Well, to Central's credit, they live and die on defense, and yesterday in the semifinals against Finney, they only allowed 2 field goals in the second half. And they're putting down the Clampers again here in the state championship game. Reese Smith with a pair, and now it's a 17-point lead. There's one of the threes we expected. A little shy, though. Saved to Central. Foreman will hold it up. Darling wants it inside. He's ready to score some more.
Listen, if I'm Central, I agree with the strategy. You know, the rule says no shot clock, so use it.
A strip by Twyman out of bounds, no foul.
I mean, there's no need for them to be in a hurry. 17-point lead. And they've got good ball handlers out on the floor, even though they turned it over that time. Here's the strip, the push by Edwards, and Twyman getting back with the knockaway.
Back line, Belleville finally gets off the schneid. Kevin Harrison hits the jumper. Their first point in more than 5 minutes. Here comes Welch. He'll take it all the way. Missed it. R.E. Smith tipped it out of bounds, and it belongs to Belleville. They trail by 15. Enough time to somehow come back?
Well, never say die, I guess, but I really don't see it happening. Central's a good team, and a lot of times when you come back in situations like this, you need some cooperation from your opponent.
Well, Grantham hits the tough runner, 47-34. I'm sure in 1972 the broadcasters were saying, hey, River Rouge is down 7 with 45 seconds left. Any chance of coming back? I'm sure the color commentator said, no, I don't
see
so.
a chance.
So 3:24 away from a possible state championship for the Trailblazers. And Arande Taliaferro knows it would mean a lot for him, but even more so to the school.
It would mean everything to the school. Central historically has been noted as a school, and it's in a very tough neighborhood. Kids come from rock bottom situations, and I heard somebody say we have kids that are rock bottom kids, and that's not true. We have kids from rock bottom situations, but they are great kids, and they want the same things that every other student in Detroit wants, to learn and to get education and to become better people.
Well, they're expecting a state championship here in the Breslin Center, as I'm sure the Trailblazers are. Look, the presses have started. They're printing the state championship T-shirts, so they apparently agree with you, partner.
Oh, man. They better hope they're right.
Otherwise, stop the presses.
You got to know, though, Central, keep in mind, while they were building their 17-point lead, their best player, Gates, was on the bench. Now he's back into the game with the 4 fouls. And he's just going to help even more in their ball control as they try to get high percentage shots down the stretch and free throws, because Belleville will eventually be forced to foul.
Long court pass stolen by Pitchford. Grantham. Pitchford. All right, be careful if you're Central. 10-point game. Gambrell down the floor.
See, that's the problem when you're scrambling and you're gambling. Oftentimes you don't cover your basket and you give up the easy shot. But if you're Belleville, you have no other choice.
And back the other way, it's Kevin Edwards with a tray. 49-40.
This is the cardiac bunch. They like to wait to under 3 minutes to start playing, huh?
We'll get a couple of trays in the quarter. Green inside.
Valuable time ticking, and Central comes away with the basket.
Dante's Inferno continues, 51-40. Darling with 22.
Hey, get it to 22, Edwards.
Grantham misfires, follow-up no by Edwards. Loose ball, rebound to Belleville. That's a long three. Rebound, Pitchford. They're just going to be firing every opportunity outside the arc. The ball fake. The shot by John Edwards spins out. Followed up, no. Rebound to Gates. And now Central in pretty good shape, up 11. 2 minutes left. As they continue to print the T-shirts, no wonder. Look out! Yep. Darling again. Dante Darling had 1 point after the first quarter. Threw up 8 in the second. 7 in the third. He's got 8 more in the fourth. And you may be looking at the state championship finals MVP. He has certainly played like it this afternoon. The Trailblazers working their way to the Class A title. We'll be back. 53-40. Detroit Central can smell it. They can taste it. The Class A Big School Championship.
Some very sound advice from Coach Taliaferro over there, telling his guys, we're taller, we can get out there and contest those three-point shots, but we don't have to leave our feet until they do. And some superb numbers by Dante Darling right there, 22 points. I agree with you. He should be the MVP.
Pass inside to Pitchford. They give it to him. 53-42. The toss to Gates.
Hey, notice he threw it to the tight end who was covered instead of the other guy on the other side who was wide open.
That was a little button hook he ran there, wasn't it?
Yeah, really. Gambrell was wide open on the left side, but they threw it in the coverage, but the tight end went and got it.
You know, if you got Charlie Sanders out there, why go to somebody else? So Gates will shoot a pair. He's got 14 points to go with 8 rebounds tonight. And he gets the first of 2. He's an excellent student. And just a Really, frankly, a great role model for the younger kids on the team. I mean, he's just the consummate citizen. And the younger guys on the team look up to him. Now they get to foul him at Michigan State. Central now with some showtime. Coming up in a minute to play. And Pitchford has to foul with 1:12 left, stopping the clock, and a 12-point game. You've got to be impressed, I would imagine, with the job that Taliaferro has done. I mean, just his second year at the helm of a program that had gone nowhere. In fact, Arande will tell you he was hired with the idea, well, they probably, kind of auditioned for it. And what he did is he took the Trailblazers to the regional finals last year and then comes back and perhaps wins the state championship the next year.
Yeah, he's done a superb job, and obviously getting his players to believe in his philosophy, making winning a habit once again at Central. And then you got to take your hat off to Belleville. I mean, the most unlikely of participants in this game. No one expected this, but they caught fire near the end and then rode that confidence all the way to this game. And maybe a little bit too much to ask for them to beat the Central team, which is a superb team. It has been for the last 2 years.
Foul is assessed to Darling. So Grantham will shoot a pair. If these are just the third and fourth free throws for Belleville for this entire game. Meanwhile, Central has shot 17 of them. It's been part of the story. But they have such a strong inside game, you would expect that.
Yeah, well, they weren't going inside a lot. They were shooting the ball from the outside. They were turning it over when they weren't getting the shots up. And give Central credit. They were tough defensively, and they did it without a lot of fouling.
Belleville looking for lightning in a bottle here, but it's under a minute to go. And a reach-in foul on Harrison. 53.8 to go. And the Central program is not like Murray, Ryan, or McKenzie, or Southwestern, or Northern, where it's expected that you win or expected to get to the Final Four.
Might be now.
Or your old school in football, where Martin Luther King, where they've had the tradition. But you're right, maybe they're starting right now. Pierre Green makes it a 58-44 ball game. And obviously that free throw disparity will continue as Belleville has to foul.
I think when you look at this game and you try to capsulize it, you'll find that Central, they had the strength, they had the people inside, but they also had quickness in this game. They were not totally outmanned in that area, whereas Belleville, their quickness, perhaps pushing the ball a little too much, creating a lot of unforced errors was their undoing, but also they did not have the inside firepower to defend Central effectively.
Pierre Green misses the first of two. Central was knocked out in the PSL championship game by Cass Tech.
He's actually lost that.
And then the Technicians not able to get out of the quarterfinals as they were upset by Finney. So it's all who is standing at the end, and Central about ready to wrap up the big school title. Darling down the floor to Twyman. Little showtime.
Oh, man.
Antonio Gates.
That's an excellent punctuation to the state title for Central.
61-44. They'll be talking about that on the trip back to the Motor City. Down the floor, Gates to Twyman. Darling is fouled. 21 and a half left.
And they can definitely feel it now. Fans are all in it. Print on, fellas. Go ahead and print the T-shirts up. Here's the nice lob up top. Twyman, who's done a superb job. He's the unsung hero in this game. To the dunking Antonio Gates, who's going to end his senior season in grand style.
Appreciate your cooperation. Please stay on the plane.
And I'm sure as he goes to school here at Michigan State, he'll have fond memories of the Breslin Center.
You better believe it.
Always remembering this particular championship. Ball goes out of bounds off Central. 19-point game. When it's all said and done, Belleville will finish with a 14-14 record.
And my hat's off to that guy we just showed, Doc Wilson over there, because he has been around Central for 30 years, folks, trying to get a championship, and he's going to get the share in this one big time.
Edwards knocks down the three. Simon missed the dunk.
That's okay. That's okay.
They don't care. Detroit Central has won the Class A state championship. Time to celebrate. The Trailblazers, 63-47 winners over Belleville. And I'm sure Dot can't hold back the tears.
You deserve it, big fella. Happy for you. And an outstanding job by Rhonda Telefero.
He loves those players like they're his own sons. And you can see how heartfelt those tears of joy are. Detroit Central wins the first basketball championship of any kind in the history of the school. All right, we'll be back for more joy. The Trailblazers are kicking the mountain in the state of Michigan. We'll be back with more celebration after this time. Victory number 23 on the season for the PSL Detroit Central Trailblazers, and this one nets a Class A championship. Let's go now to the spoils of victory and Eric 047.
Trophy and medals. Let's acknowledge these two fine teams for their achievements this year and their play here today. This time we direct your attention to center court, where Dwayne Jones, Athletic Director, Ferndale High School, member of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, Representative Council, will make the awards presentations. First, let us honor the runner-up in Class A, the Tigers of Belleville. First, we will present individual medals. Number 5, Bert Riley. Number 11, Robert Miller. Number 13, Alfonso Garner. Number 21, William Lilly. Number 24, Kevin Harrison. Number 32, Lawrence Chandler. Number 33, Cullen Jenkins. Number 34, Terrence Robinson. '42, Willie Pitchford. '55, Dwayne Turner. Number 3, John Edwards. Number 4, C.J. Grantham. '22, Kevin Edwards. 44, Spencer Lewis. And number 50, Ryan Schindler. And accepting the runner-up trophy in Class A, Coach Rod Fisher. Congratulations to the Belleville Tigers on an outstanding season.
Rod Fisher, a tremendous job. And again, for a team that finished the regular season at 7-13, to get the runner-up trophy seemed unconscionable. And yet they've at least done that here this afternoon despite the 16-point loss. Now the Central Trailblazers, the Class A state champs, the 20th for the Public School League of Detroit.
First, we will present individual medals. Number 3, Martez Welch.
Nice job, man.
Number 10, Albert Smith. Number 12, Michael Oden. Raymond Parks. 24, Michael Barnett. 32, Kyrie Wright. 42, Martinez Dorsey. 50, Ari Smith. 52, Charles Paldo. 34, Aaron Funderburg. 4, Pierre Green. 30, Jermaine Gambrell. 40, Dante Darling. 44, Antonio Gates. 22, Jimmy Twyman. And accepting that championship trophy, Coach Orande Califero. Congratulations to Detroit Central, the Trailblazers, the 1998 Class A boys basketball champs.
Orande Talifero in his second year at the helm. Imagine that. Now holding the trophy for the Class A state championship. What an amazing fairy tale story it has been. We'll be back with more of the celebration from East Lansing. Hail to the victors in East Lansing.
At this time, pressure to clear the arena.
Well, Detroit Central, the Class A champion. Some happy campers with John Keating on this field trip to East Lansing, John.
All right, Fred, you mentioned it's Central's first state championship. They were in a finals once. That was back in 1918, and they lost to Kalamazoo Central 26-18, joined by Orande Talifaro and the rest of the championship Central team here at the Breslin Center. Coach, you seem to be very subdued for a young coach who won his first state championship. Congratulations. How you feeling?
Well, I probably really don't understand what it truly means right now because, you know, I'm still new at this. But if I have a couple losing seasons down the road, it'll really sink in then. But I'm just really happy for these kids, though. They deserve it. They deserve everything special that they can get. They did everything we asked them to do today.
You touched upon it before the game, how much it would mean not only to your kids but to your community. Talk about that if you can.
Right. It's real special to have something positive happen to the Central community. You know, it's a tough neighborhood, urban area. And then, you know, these kids get tied to so many negative things. Just to have something special and positive like this, I feel good to be a part of it.
All right, let me bring in Dante Darling and Antonio Gates. Congratulations, guys. How does it feel for you? And how did you feel about Belleville coming into this game in light of the fact that they had been the Cinderella team of the tournament?
Well, you know, I talked to Dante a couple of times about us winning the state championship. So it was just like a dream come true for us.
And knowing that you're coming to Michigan State, I would guess you'll have happy memories. Does it further your resolve to want to play basketball for Tom Izzo?
Yes, most definitely, yes.
All right, Dante, you had the monster game. I think in everybody's estimation, you were the difference in this one. Did you feel you could control the inside against Belleville?
I know I control the inside because they're much smaller than this. I was just tired of being underrated.
Well, congratulations, guys. You deserve it. State champions, Detroit Central. How does it feel? Let's go back to Fred McLeod.
All right, John, as you see Dot Wilson, kind of emblematic of this entire tournament run for the Trailblazers. And as you say, Greg, having played for that man, you must have an idea, an inkling what it means to him.
Well, I know how special it was when we would just win summer championships under the guy. He's a terrific man, a terrific coach, and I know he's been around Central for over 30 years trying to realize this day, so I'm real happy for not only the Trailblazers and their coaching staff, their players, but Dot Wilson. Very nice man.
And in an age where it's, you know, kind of easy to take shots at the youth of America and high school dropouts and lack of interest in authority, consider this. Not only is this Detroit Central team the best in the state of Michigan in Class A, but the cumulative grade point average of the team, 2.9.
Yeah, I was very, very happy to see that when I was reading the notes, getting prepared for this game. That says a lot about the importance that's placed on the other things. You know, you have to teach life values as well when you're in a coaching situation, and obviously Coach Telefero has not squandered that opportunity. He's in a position where he can mold and he can shape young people, and he's doing that in a very big way.
A very quick imprint by the coach as he helps carry his team and guide them to this very important day in Central athletic history. Well, Metro Detroit has a chance to set history here. Never before in the history of state high school basketball in this state have 4 teams won titles from the Metro area. It could happen if River Rouge completes the task against Marshall. You'll see it live, 7:30 here on Fox Sports Detroit. Then the replay of the C game. DePorres already a winner, joining Aquinas and now Central as 3 titles already going back to Wayne County. Hope you enjoyed our telecast once again. Our final score, Detroit Central 63, Belleville 47 for the state Class A boys title. And no question, Greg, they earned it this afternoon.
They earned it, and they imposed their will and their strength on a smaller team. They were dominant inside. It started early, it continued throughout, and it all led to that. Tears of joy.
This is more than wins and losses. This is put your heart and soul into this task. Clemente, who used to do that on the baseball field, is next here on Fox Sports Detroit. We're 3/4 of the way through this Michigan March Madness. One more coming up on Championship Saturday. The Class B tilt at 7:30. River Rouge against unbeaten Marshall. But hail to the champions from Detroit Central as they knock off Belleville by 16. Thanks to all our crew. One more game to go. Stay tuned for it at 7:30. We say so long now.